Hello everyone, today we're going to talk about challenges. This is the newest addition to our collection and probably the best deck builder that we own.
Challenges plays from 1 to 8 players. It's not a party game, so that's really cool. Such a high player count. It's an auto battler mixed with a deck builder. Each round you will face one opponent and then you will fight with your cards.
Challenges is played over 7 rounds. At the start of each round, you'll add 1 or 2 cards to your deck. You can then choose to remove as many as you like, and then you'll battle another player. All your cards have different power levels, and the battle is a back and forth. You put down a card, then your opponent puts down cards until they match or beat your power level, and then you do the same back. The first person to run out of cards loses. But there is a second method of losing which keeps the game very interesting. Your bench is limited to 6 unique cards. If you have to discard a card and there's no bench space, you lose. The winner of the battle will get a trophy with a random amount of points, and at the end of 7 rounds, whichever 2 players have the most amount of points will battle to the death.
So at first when I read the rules, I thought, meh, to be honest. And I just played by myself on Board Game Arena, and actually it's really addictive. And despite there's a lot of luck in the way you draw the cards, I think there's a lot of depth as well in the way like you can make a stronger deck with nearly any kind of build.
The game is super simple to learn. It basically plays itself. All you're doing is drawing cards on your turn. But the way that you build your deck is also very beginner friendly. You can generally just tell a new player to focus on one colour and the deck will do fairly well. It probably won't win, but it'll be competitive. As the players gain more experience and learn what all the cards do, they can branch out and try other things, but sticking to one colour is effective. It's also beginner friendly because the luck factor can be insanely high. The order that you draw out your randomly shuffled cards is hugely important to battles, and even the best deck can lose with poor card draw. The variety of different builds is also really enjoyable. You can simply stick to one colour and work with all the synergies that it brings, or you can build around a high power deck, just picking all cards with high power. You can build a deck around enhancing all your low power cards, or you can ignore all that and just make a deck that screws with your opponent's deck, which is hugely fun. For example, there's one card in the late game that lets you add a random card to your opponent's deck, and it makes the possibility of them overflowing their bench very likely.
You can ignore all that and base your whole deck around getting points. Just a lot and a lot of points. For example, there was this guy we've played against. He only won the very first round and lost every single following round after that. He still went into the final because he had lots of cards that gave him points when he played them. And I think he won. What I really enjoy about the game is that it plays well at every single player count I've played, which is from 1 to 8, literally. I really enjoy it solo because you can just try all the builds you want. You're like, oh, what happens if I try this? And what happens if I try that? And it's automated, so it's great. You select the difficulty level at the beginning of the game, and then the deck will be set around that difficulty. So only specific cards will be played for the bot. And the bot scales as you go. So in round 7, for example, every single card that is called a cyborg will be worth 7, while in round 1 it will only be worth 1, which is easy to beat. So it's getting harder and harder. It's very well made. And at multiplayer, it's super fun because it's a high player count, but everyone is playing at the same time. So there's never any downtime. You're never like waiting for your turn and so on. So it's very cool.
What I like specifically about 8-player games is you get to play all other 7 players once, so you're constantly moving around the table, playing against someone else, like having a good one-on-one chat with them, then you move on to the next person. It's very enjoyable. With an uneven player count, you just substitute the bot as one of the players, which is fine as well. There's not really a comeback mechanic per se. You don't get to draw more cards if you're behind, but the trophies you win give progressively more points as the rounds go on, which makes it feel like even if you only win the last 2 or 3 rounds, you might still be able to make the finals. And because of the luck of the draw, you can win any round. Another thing I really love is when you're choosing cards to add to your deck. It feels like you're opening a booster pack of Pokemon cards or something. It gives you the same endorphins. There might be the perfect card you need to finish your build, but if there's not, you do have an option to redraw, which mitigates a bit of the luck.
Also, the game is always very fresh because there's 6 different families or like colors. And at the beginning of the game, you remove one family out of the whole like deck. So you're not like you can't always commit to the same build over and over again because that color might not ever be in the game.
I do like that mechanic, but it's a bit of a downside when you're playing in real life. It means at the end of the game you need to sort all the cards by color and then by deck strength. That makes the teardown time quite long. And then because you're removing a random color at the start, it means you need to really shuffle everything well at the start of the game. Otherwise you're going to see multiple of the same card, which is just not good.
That's why I really enjoyed playing on Board Game Arena, because everything's automated. You don't need to manually remove one deck, so it's awesome. You just start the game and bang.
It's not a super serious deck builder, and I think that's what makes it so enjoyable for me. For example, even in your starting deck, you have a card called Talent, which is Strength 2, and then you have a Dog, which is Strength 3. So it just goes to show that Dog beats Talent every time. But then as you go, you can add all varieties of different cards. Like you can recruit a skeleton to fight for you, or you can have a submarine or a teddy bear. It's just very wacky. The high variance on some of the cards also makes the gameplay really exciting when it pays off. For example, there's a card called the Mime, which only has a base strength of 1. Except if your entire bench is empty, like it's the first card you draw, then it has a strength of 7.
The game is highly addictive and highly replayable. I just cannot stop thinking about it like day and night. And also what's very cool about that box is like, look at this organization. I didn't need to like do anything. Well, I did these little like bands, but not needed, you know. Everything's like not moving. Everything's sorted like by deck things, like whatever they are, deck holders. And even the tokens, they're not moving. You can put your box vertically and everything's staying like well put. It's awesome. Very happy with this. I totally recommend the game. 10 out of 10.
I don't even like deck builders that much, but I still recommend the game as about an 8 out of 10.
Ooh, that's very good coming from you.
If you want to try the game before buying, you can play it for free on Board Game Arena. Hopefully we see you all there. Thanks for watching.
Thank you, bye.